All right, well, good afternoon. Thank you guys all for joining us today. We are here with Glen Shelton from Lead Heroes. Glenn is here to talk to us about some really interesting things that they're doing. Glenn, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, before we get started, talking about the specifics of this new book and everything you've got going on, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Lead Heroes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, I have been in the insurance now for a little over 3 years. First got involved. I guess it started really before I even got my license. I kind of came across some stuff online, doing some research about, a career in insurance, and um, as I kind of started to learn more and more, I realized that was really the direction I wanted to go. And that's what ultimately led me to mortgage protection. And that was my first product that I got involved with when I first got in to the industry. So, about 3 years ago, I was working my retail sales job during the day, and I was selling mortgage protection at night. And after a few weeks and realizing ultimately how lucrative it could be, I jumped out. I decided to go full tilt and really see, what I could do if I put all my time and energy focused on insurance, and really never looked back since. I love it.
Very cool. Very cool. So, yeah, and you guys have been working hard to get some new content out to agents, and we heard about it in an email from you recently. It's this book you've got. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, fast forward after my career in insurance, starting with mortgage protection, which led to final expense. And for about 2 years now, I've been the president of Lead Heroes, and we try and simplify marketing for insurance agents through telemarketed leads. And one thing I've noticed over the past couple of years of doing this, there are so many questions that agents have, regardless of how well versed they are. It could be something simple like, "Hey, Glenn, what's a good callback script?" Or once I'm in the house, should I say something like this or like this? And a lot of these questions, some of them are simple, some of them are a little more complex, but ultimately I really wanted to be able to help people out, and not necessarily no strings attached, right? I mean, this book is $9.95, and you don't have to be contracted with me to have access to this training information. You don't have to be a member to my website, nothing like that. But I think there's a lot of really great information in there that can help you out in your sales process, regardless of what lead type you're using or where you're buying your leads, or even if you're going door to door, maybe you're doing all the marketing yourself.
That's hard to find training in this industry that's really unbiased, truly unbiased. It's one of the things we tell new agents every time that they call in, that you've got to keep in the back of your mind. Everybody in the industry's got some kind of bias. Even here at the association, we want folks to pay us their $19.95 a month to be a member, to get their training. And other folks, they may want to train you on products that give them a better override because they're your recruiter, or train you on products that direct you towards more expensive leads that they happen to sell, or something like that. So, something like this, it's a one-off. It's $9.95. It's packed with great information. It's a useful reference. It's really cool, and something like that, like I say, it's really difficult to find, and I think it's great that you put this out there for new agents.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. One big thing too, I realize I am. I hate to use the word expert. As much as I love my career so far in insurance, and I spend so much time, my downtime, whether it's in the evening or in the morning or afternoon, when I have a minute, I'm doing extra research because I do love what I do. But I know that I don't have all the answers. So another really neat part about this book is we were able to survey. We got over 100 agents that surveyed, but we kind of narrowed it down. We really just wanted some of the really great comments what we felt like would really help make other agents successful in the final expense and the Medicare supplement business. So, I think there's 36, I think that's the exact number of different agents that commented on their sales process, what they're doing, whether it's a verbatim script that they're using on a callback, or maybe a verbatim script that they're using when they're in the house. Everybody does something differently. I mean, the way I was trained as an agent, I could sit down with someone and try to tell them to do exactly what I do, and it might not work for them. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. There's more than one way to do this business. And I'm a big believer in sharing ideas and, picking apart maybe a little bit of what I do you like, and maybe there's someone else out there or someone else that's in the book that you read and you really like what they're doing, and you steal a little bit of that, and eventually you'll kind of have your own process that's unique to you, and that could be making you really successful. So
Sorry, our dogs are very excited about the interview today. Yeah, you're right, and I think that's something that a lot of agents, especially newer agents, don't realize, that there's a big process of finding your own voice. It's funny when you go online and you look up these lists of cold calling tips or sales tips, whatever you find, or the top 10 things you should never do. It's funny, you look at these and you'll see things that you've been in insurance for a while, and you see never do this, and you'll think, well, I do that every appointment and that works for me. And it's because that type of stuff, it's not always universal. Like you say, you've got to pick and choose and find what works for you and what works for your market and what works for your voice. And that's not an overnight thing. That's a process. And what you've done here, putting together strategies from a lot of different agents and putting those unique perspectives together, I think is a pretty cool thing. And that's something that's really going to help illustrate that to agents.
Yeah. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I mean, there are things, just like you said, that, I was told never to do, or, my manager, here's an example, just kind of off the top of my head. I was always told my entire career to never leave a voicemail, whether you're selling over the phone or you're trying to just call to set an appointment. Basically it's a waste of time, and they're just not going to listen to it, or they'll never call you back. Well, one of the most successful agents I work with, who sell Medicare supplements over the phone every single day, he has a process in place where after a certain number of calls, he leaves a voicemail and then he moves on. And he's noticed he gets a certain number of inbound calls every week from those voicemails that he's leaving. I mean, it's little things like that can make a big difference.
And that's why we always encourage folks to tweak what they're doing constantly. You'll never discover that sort of thing unless you give it a try. If you just go online and you read something that says never leave voicemails, and that sticks in your head, and you think, screw it, I'm never going to leave voicemails. That's that, and you shut that door forever. But give it a try once in a while. That sort of stuff might work. Something else we wanted to touch on. Just the fact that you're reaching out to new agents like this through a book is. There's a large audience there, and I think there's a growing audience there because the insurance industry is in a really unique position right now with the way our kind of age pyramid in the country works. A lot of agents are aging out of the business. A lot of our old kitchen table agents and debit route guys are getting to the point where they're living and they're selling their books, or they're living off renewals, et cetera. And at the same time, we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people moving into retirement age at the same time. So there's a service gap there between the number of people retiring and the number of people available to serve their retirement needs and their insurance needs, especially when it comes to things like Medicare and final expense insurance and things like that. And I think that's something you touch on in your book as well. Am I right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that was a big driving force, again, behind doing this, not only to help those existing agents out, but potentially to help train new agents, or even encourage agents, people who haven't decided to become one yet, to become an insurance agent. I know there's a little bit of controversy, I guess you could say, around, millennials or new, younger agents coming into the business. And I feel like, I'm a millennial. I'm 27 years old. So I feel like in my network, it's not exactly something that's common or talked about a lot, becoming an insurance agent. And I'm hoping to kind of buck that trend. I honestly think this is one of the greatest career paths that anybody could take. There's so many different options, so many different ways to make a really great living and to be in charge of, your schedule and to help others out, the whole way through. It's great. I mean, there's nothing better than making a profit, but then at the same time, being able to make someone extremely happy. That's a really great thing.
Oh, it is a great line of work. Yeah, I remember I got started in insurance when I was in my mid-20s. And I remember when I first started, going to networking meetings and things like that. I tell people, I do insurance. And, I got a couple of folks that responded with, I did that for a couple of years after I got into college too. It just kind of blew me off like that. I always remember being a little bit frustrated and thinking, it's difficult at the time because of my age, but that's the sort of thing that can be overcome. It's not a closed door,
Right.
There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of benefits to an insurance career. There's a lot of great things you can do as an agent for your clients, personally and for your business clients, et cetera. So there's just a tremendous number of opportunities there. And I think, sometimes, like you say, in the younger generation, insurance agent doesn't really sound like the sexiest career in the world. But it's
no,
great.
absolutely.
I love it. I love what I get to do. I surely didn't get into insurance for the sex appeal, but now that I get to work from home, I get to go, vacation and work from a laptop and my cell phone on the beach. I mean, it's a good gig. Who's complaining, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you were saying as well, I mean, there's 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every single day. And, and that's a trend that's going to be continuing for a very long time. And then so you've got kind of two different things going. You've got less insurance agents either staying in or coming on. And then you also have more and more people who need help. So just a wonderful opportunity for anybody who's willing to take that chance and, get trained, get your license, take those 2 weeks. I mean, that's all it took me. It was about a week to 2 weeks of just cramming information to get my license. And unfortunately, that doesn't make you an expert by the time you get your license either. That's just the start.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a tremendous opportunity in the industry right now. I can't stress that enough.
It really is, and with the resources that are out there today, it's easier than ever to get started doing it. If it's something you've been thinking about, if it's something that you have got your license and you're really looking to take it to the next level and get rolling, resources like this are the way to do it. I'm not just blowing smoke, and I'm not just trying to talk Glenn up so he'll come back and do more interviews for us and make our job easier. Things like this really do make your life easier. Things like this are really, really valuable to you as an agent because you'll learn a lot from the combined experience that other agents already have and that they're willing to share. You can stand on the shoulders of giants by buying books like this one from Glenn and Elite Heroes. So we've been going for about 15 minutes now, but I don't want to take up too much more of your day. Is there any last words or anything you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I really appreciate taking the time to talk about this. I just can't stress this enough. I mean, whether you're completely green to insurance or if you've been in insurance for the past 40 years, I genuinely believe that if you look at how to, the recent book, How to Qualify, Present, and Sell Final Expense and Medicare Supplements to Seniors, if you take a second and whether you're glancing through it or if you sit down and you read it cover to cover, I really think there's going to be information there that you can take and harvest for, future business for yourself. And, it's laid out really well. So you can almost kind of use it as a reference point if you are one of those seasoned agents that I was just talking about. But a great opportunity. And I'd love to talk about it too. If someone has something in the book that they would like to, reach out to me directly if they had a question about, I'm happy to continue the conversation. We have our blog. That's kind of our next thing is we want to continue the collaboration that we started in this book. and have agents who, want to work with us. So we're going to have a blog that should be updated at least once a month with helpful tips and kind of, again, continuing the education that, the landscape is constantly changing for insurance agents, and we really need to stay on top of it. And that's really ultimately what my plan is to continue the information that, is already out there with this book, and hopefully continue helping agents out everywhere.
There you go, and this is a great resource to go to. This blog and the book and everything else that these guys are putting together. we've had the opportunity to take a look at a little bit of it, and it's really quality stuff. And we definitely recommend that when you get an opportunity, take a look for yourself. We'll have a link to it here below the video once we get this posted on the site, I'm sure. So Glenn, just one more time, thank you very, very much for coming out today. I really appreciate your time. And I'm sure on behalf of everybody who's going to get a chance to catch this recording later, we are looking forward very much, hopefully, to seeing you again in the future.
Sounds great. Again, thank you.